Successfully ridden in PRCA competition for 2 more years.
In the body-pounding world of rodeo, you got bulls that buck, bulls that drop, and bulls that fool ya. But there was only one bull dead set on destroying anything that dared to climb on his back. Bodacious was 1,800 pounds of pure muscle. 20. Bodacious's explosive style.
He's knocked out. Open that gate, boys.
Now, if you thought all bulls just kinda mosey out of the chute, think again. Bodacious was known for his explosive exit that'd make a firecracker jealous. This bull didn't just step out, he shot out like a rocket. It wasn't uncommon to see his belly from the top of the back of the chute, and if you blinked, you might miss the whole show. That first jump had more hang time than a rodeo clown in a barrel. Cowboys barely had time to tip their hats before they were flying through the air wondering what in tarnation just happened. Bodacious, he had a move that set him apart from the herd. They called it the Bodacious Bounce, and let me tell ya, it wasn't just a jump, it was a statement. As that gate cracked open, he'd explode into the playing ground like a cannonball, all muscle and fury, with a buck that could send a rider flying like Superman. I mean, more like not so Superman. What made it legendary wasn't just the height or the power, it was the unpredictability. You never knew which way Bodacious might twist or turn mid-air, like he was dancing with the wind itself. Riders learned quick that staying on him for those 8 seconds was like trying to hold on to lightning in a bottle. Mighty damn near impossible. So strap in, folks, cause we're riding through the Wild West and beyond of Bodacious's legacy, one buck at a time. 19. Early talent.
Carries 6 broken ribs, a broken collarbone, and a punctured lung. There it is, the potentially fatal.
Let me tell y'all about the first time old Bodacious showed he was more than just a regular bull. It was one of his earliest rodeos, and our horned hero was up against none other than rodeo legend Cody Lambert. Now, Cody's a tough son of a gun, but this young calf had other plans. Bodacious didn't just buck Cody off, he gave him a souvenir to remember. A shaving scar right across the face. Yup, you heard that right. With one powerful toss, Bodacious sent Cody down and left him with a mark that'd make any cowboy proud. From that moment on, it was clear Bodacious had something special. He was a legend in the making, and that shaving scar on Cody Lambert's face was just the beginning of his infamous rodeo career. The world of bucking bulls was taken over by Bodacious's reputation as a formidable bull rider when Andrews, his owner, toured with his yellow Charbray bull. The bigger the bull grew, the stronger he became. With that strength, he also gained a reputation for his ability to completely destroy his riders with a power surge that left them dazed, frequently unconscious, and in some cases, severely injured. 18. Riding score.
6 broken ribs, a broken collarbone, and a punctured lung.
Alright folks, here's a little rodeo math for you. Bodacious was ridden a total of 8 times out of 135 attempts. That's right, 128 folks just got some free lessons on how not to ride bulls. One of the most memorable rides was an 87-point effort by Terry Don West at the 1995 San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. Now, in the wild world of bull riding, an 87-point score ain't too shabby. But riding Bodacious for 87 points? That's like getting a medal for wrestling a tornado and living to tell the tale. Bodacious's weight eventually amounted to almost 1,800 to 1,900 pounds, and it came from a mass of muscle. Incredibly, the bull's remarkable speed paired with his trademark head-back power action rendered him almost unrideable throughout his 4 years on the professional circuit. But here's the surprising one. Terry Don wasn't the only one to conquer Bow. Tough Hedeman, the bull riding legend, scored a jaw-dropping 95 points on him in 1993. That ride was so perfect, it's practically rodeo folklore now. Clint Branger also managed to ride Bodacious, and if you ask these fellas, they'd probably say staying on Bodacious felt like 8 seconds on a bucking bronco with dynamite strapped to its back. So next time you think about taking up bull riding, just remember, Bodacious set the bar, and it's way up there in the stratosphere. If you think that Bodacious remained undefeated, you're wrong there. Well, seems like even the mighty Bodacious had a place he refused to dance. According to the legendary Sammy Andrews, that spot was none other than the Lazy E in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Now, you might wonder why Bodacious, the bull with more buck than a bronc on a bad day, chose to sit this one out. As Sammy tells it, there's a twist in this tale. It turns out old Clint Branger, a cowboy with more grit than a saddlebag full of nails, managed to ride Bodacious not once, but twice at the Lazy E. Sammy's got a good laugh about it, saying maybe Bodacious had a touch of stage fright, or maybe, just maybe, Clint Branger had the bull shaking in his hooves. But here's where it gets really wild. Despite Bodacious's no-show at the Lazy E, he made sure to show up when it counted. At the finals, Bodacious bucked Branger off, costing him a shot at the World Championship. Now that's a plot twist fit for a Western novel. Bodacious might have had a favorite dance floor, but when it came to showdowns like the finals, he was always ready to stir up some dust. That's the thing about legends. They've always got a surprise waiting around the next bend. 17. Injuring Scott Breeding. Yeah, cool your jets. I'm getting to Scott Breeding's battle with the beast. Next up on Bodacious's list of unfortunate cowboys was Scott Breeding. And let me tell ya, Breeding didn't stand a chance, even with a hockey mask strapped to his face. Breeding saddles up wearing a hockey mask like he's about to face off with the Stanley Cup. But instead of ice and pucks, he's got 1,900 pounds of angry bull beneath him. Just 4 seconds into the ride, Bodacious pulls his infamous head-snapping move, and wham! The mask didn't do much good against the brute force of Bodacious. Breeding ended up with a fractured eye socket, leaving him looking like he'd gone a few rounds with a heavyweight boxer. Only this boxer had horns and a bad attitude. So, next time you think your job's tough, just remember old Scott Breeding and his ill-fated encounter with the baddest bull in the business. 16. Hamans Promise.
I thank Tuff for saluting, tipping his hat to him, and I think they have played off of each other to help make one another so great.
To have to turn him out of the...
Now, let me tell you about the time Tough Hedeman made a promise that had the whole rodeo world talking. But before that, let me tell you what exactly happened. Hedeman took a wrong decision while riding the beast. This is not how riders are intended to respond to a bull that bucks forward. Instead, they should lean forward and throw their arms back to counterbalance. In a single moment, Bodacious flung his enormous head backward as Hedeman was bending forward, hitting Tough in the face hard, breaking almost every bone in his face. After Bodacious turned Hedeman's face into a jigsaw puzzle, Tough had a heart-to-heart with his young son. He looked his boy in the eye and promised he wouldn't ride that yellow devil again. Now, if you know anything about cowboys, you know they're as stubborn as a mule in a rainstorm. But even Tough knew when to call it quits. You see, after Hedeman's face-off with Bodacious in 1995, he needed 13 hours of surgery to put his mug back together. Tough's face is now covered in 5 titanium plates. Too bad he never regained his ability to taste or smell. When he finally healed up and got back in the saddle, he found himself drawing Bodacious again. This time, though, he had something stronger than cowboy pride. He had a promise to keep. So he tipped his hat to the bull, said no thanks, and walked away. And that, folks, takes a special kind of guts. 15. Retirement decision. Okay, for those of you who've come to the edge of your seat watching Bodacious give everyone a broken rib, take a step back and relax, because we know that the rodeo world collectively let out a sigh of relief when he retired. In 1995, his owner, Sammy Andrews, decided it was high time to hang up Bo's bucking boots. Why, you say? Well, old Bodacious was just too dang dangerous. After causing enough broken bones to fill a hospital ward, Andrews didn't want to risk the bull killing a rider. Now, you would think the cowboys would have been lined up around the block to take on Bodacious if there was any truth to all the tales about the bravery of rodeo competitors. It was time for our brave boys to get her done in their crazy John Wayne Halloween costumes. The time had come for the rodeo community to truly show their abilities, and they did just that by retiring Bodacious in the best rodeo anticlimax style. Sammy had seen firsthand what Bo was capable of, and it was nothing short of a demolition derby on 4 legs. Bodacious' signature head-snapping move was as unpredictable as a rattlesnake in a rodeo clown's pants. When he shattered Tough Hedeman's face and then fractured Scott Breeding's eye socket, it became crystal clear. This bull wasn't just playing around. Even the most experienced cowboys were starting to think that riding Bodacious was more like signing up for a trip to the emergency room.
He died probably at a pretty young age compared to most.
Sammy Andrews realized that keeping Bodacious in the game was like letting a tornado loose in a trailer park. The bull had proven his point. He was untamable, unbeatable, and downright dangerous. So Sammy did what any smart cowboy would do and hung up Bo's spurs to save countless riders from the wrath of this 4-legged hurricane. Bodacious retired to a peaceful life, leaving behind a legacy of fear, respect, and a trail of busted bones. Sometimes even the wildest legends need to step down before they turn the rodeo into a battlefield. 14. The Legend of the Yellow Monster. Y'all ever heard of the Yellow Monster? No, it ain't some fairy tale creature. It's Bodacious, and he earned that nickname the hard way. See, Bo wasn't just another bull in the pen. He was a legend, a terror on 4 hooves. Bo's so fearsome that riders would draw his name and suddenly remember they had something urgent to do, like taking up knitting. But how did he become the Fearsome Monster? Now, partners, let's take a trip back to 1988. In the Arbuckle Mountains of Oklahoma, on the Merrick Ranch, a little yellow calf was born. This calf stood out like a sore thumb among the gray blues and creams of the herd. That yellow touch was the only thing that made young Bodacious special at the time. Bill McCann, co-owner of Geary Livestock Auction, spotted this unusual calf and remembered it well. Jump ahead to the winter of '91, when rancher Jess Kephart set his eyes on herd and bucking bulls over at McCann's auction yard. Amongst the cattle, a certain yellow calf caught Kephart's attention. He reckoned that calf might have what it takes, so he branded him with a proud J for Jess and took him back to Longdale. But as time passed, that yellow calf grew up, and truth be told, he wasn't making the cut as a herd bull. That's when Phil Sumner, a professional rodeo stock contractor, rode into the picture. Kephart, thinking he might be passing on a dud, threw in the yellow bull as a bonus. Sumner struck a deal, shelling out about 50 cents a pound, a grand total of $700 for that 1,200-pound beast back in the day. Funny thing is, Sumner didn't even bother naming the bull, probably thinking he wouldn't amount to much in the rodeo world. Little did he know, that yellow calf would grow up to be Bodacious, the most feared bull in rodeo history. Bodacious started as nothing more than a curious yellow calf in a sea of gray and turned into the yellow monster of rodeo. 13. Fear among champions.
Athletes, watch the flashbulbs. Here we go.
Folks, in the wild world of rodeo, there's a hierarchy. You got your rookies, your professional riders, and then you got your champions, the ones who laugh in the face of danger. But when it came to Bodacious, even the best of the best were shaken in their boots. The toughest, meanest cowboys, the kind who'd normally wrestle a gator just for kicks, all suddenly finding excuses to avoid drawing Bodacious. And can you blame them? Bodacious wasn't just a bull, he was a wrecking machine on 4 legs. Even world champions would rather take their chances with a wild Mustang than face Bo. While most bulls might give you a good bucking, Bodacious would make you question your life choices. He was far more dangerous and unpredictable, known for his signature move that could send cowboys flying like tumbleweeds in a dust storm. Other bulls might have been tough, but Bodacious was the one who'd leave you counting your teeth after a ride. Take any rodeo and you'd see the relief on a rider's face when they pulled a different bull's name from the hat. They knew that Bodacious was less about riding skill and more about pure luck. If you stayed on, you were a legend. If you got tossed, well, at least you'd have a great story to tell in the emergency room. 12. The many faces of Bodacious.
We had tour buses come by and stuff. It was phenomenal. He got to go and open casinos, restaurants.
Did y'all know that Bodacious had more aliases than a Wild West outlaw? This bull didn't just buck riders, he also bucked under different names thanks to his sponsors. For a while, he was known as Skoll's Bodacious, sponsored by the tobacco company. Then he switched gears and became Dodge Bodacious when he started representing the Dodge Automotive Company. Yep, this bull was a bona fide spokesbull. You'd see Dodge Bodacious plastered on PRCA awards and media materials like he was running for office. Even in GQ magazine, they couldn't resist talking about him. They described Bo as the fiercest competitor of his generation, lethal, a legend, the Michael Jordan of barnyard brutes, a combination of Babe Ruth, Secretariat, and Sonny Liston. Now if that ain't a resume, I don't know what is. Bodacious was a brand with no competition. 11. PBR Premier Series record.
Wow. Look at this bull. Hop, skip, power, snatch. Judges are saying.
Bodacious was a record breaker. This bull bucked on the PBR Premier Series at least 5 times and scored over 45 points all but once. His average score? A whopping 46.4, putting him second in the Pro Bull Stats historical ranking just behind Dillinger. With an 80% buck-off rate on the Premier Series alone, Bodacious was the ultimate challenge. The brave souls who rode him twice included Clint Branger, Bubba Dunn, and Terry Don West. Legends like Greg Schossler, Jim Sharp, Tuff Hedeman, and Leg Stevenson each managed to ride him once. These stats didn't just make Bodacious a legend, they made him a bull that separated the cowboys from the cowmen. 10. PRCA Bull of the Year. Y'all ever hear of a bull with a trophy cabinet? Well, Bodacious has one that had put most athletes to shame. This beast was crowned PRCA Bull of the Year in '94 and '95. Now that's like winning back-to-back gold medals in the Rodeo Olympics. And if that ain't enough, Bo was the top bull at the National Finals Rodeo in '92, '94, and '95. Talk about a hat trick. Imagine trying to tame a bull that's been declared the best of the best 3 times over. It's like stepping into the ring with a heavyweight champion, knowing he's knocked out everyone before you. Bodacious wasn't just another contender. He was the king of the ring, reigning supreme and making sure everyone knew who was boss. 9. Cultural impact. But Bodacious wasn't just a bull, folks. Oh no, he became a rodeo sensation. Think Elvis of the bovine world. His fame led to an explosion of merchandise, t-shirts, hats, even action figures. Yes, action figures of a bull. He was so popular that he continued making public appearances after retirement. Can you imagine being a bull and having groupies? Now that's utterly impressive. His impact wasn't just measured in dollars, though those merchandise sales didn't hurt. It was in the hearts and minds of rodeo fans who cheered his every buck and twist. 8. Breeding value. Retirement didn't slow down Bodacious's marketability one bit. Breeders monetized his genetics like a prized recipe, knowing that a dash of Bodacious could turn any run-of-the-mill bull into a bucking superstar. His sperm, yes, you heard that correctly, fetched a staggering $3,000 per straw. That's more than some people pay for a used car. But hey, when you've got the genetic blueprint for rodeo greatness, people are willing to shell out. Bodacious was a business mogul, leaving a legacy that extended far beyond the dusty corners and into the very genetics of future rodeo stars. His contribution to the sport wasn't just measured in wins, it was in the lineage of bulls who would carry on his bucking legacy for generations to come. 7. Impact on bull selection in rodeo. Bodacious rewrote the rule book on picking rodeo bulls. See, before him, they'd pick any old bull with a snarl and a stomp. But Bodacious? He taught him a lesson or two about what makes a real rodeo star. His wild ways made folks realize it ain't just about muscle and moxie, no siree. It's about having the smarts to know when to buck and when to strut. Predictability became as important as a good pair of spurs. Rodeo selectors started looking for bulls with Bodacious's blend of brains and brawn. They wanted beasts that could dance a two-step with a rider, but wouldn't go stampeding off into the sunset without a plan. 6. Progeny. This bull didn't just retire to the pasture after his glory days, no sir. He sired a whole posse of bucking sons who've been stirring up dust in rodeo circuits far and wide. First off, Bodacious's son ain't just run-of-the-mill ranch hands. We're talking bulls like Bo's Excuse, Irks Me, and Fender Bender. Names that strike fear into the hearts of even the toughest riders. These boys didn't just inherit their daddy's size, they inherited his attitude too. I tell ya, it's like Bodacious passed down a recipe for bucking with a side of sass. Let me tell you about Midnight Bender. This bull's like a midnight tornado in the arena, winning PRCA awards left and right. He's got the Andrews touch, bucking high and kicking harder than a mule with a bee in its britches. Cowboys love him because he puts on a show, but he ain't quite the outlaw his daddy was. They say he's rideable, but don't let that fool ya. He'll still test your guts out. Then there's Beaver Creek Bow, chewing up the BFTS circuit like a hungry coyote after supper. He might not be as lightning fast as his old man, but he's got enough speed to make even the best riders grip their hats a little tighter. 8 rides out of 98 attempts? That's like dodging bullets in a shootout, folks.
My father was a stock contractor in the late 40s and 50s, and I was kind of raised up in it, and I've continued it on. And this is back in the 60s when I started a little old rodeo company, and this is my crew that I had. We've had hard times and ups and downs, and we was fortunate enough to have a bull, Bodacious, that come along and opened a lot of doors for us and got us in a lot of places.
And don't forget Sammy Andrews. This man ain't just raising bulls, he's raising legends. The PRCA saw fit to crown his outfit Stock Contractor of the Year back in '02, and he's been stamping his mark on rodeo history ever since. With Bodacious leading the charge, it's no wonder they put Sammy in the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. Because when it comes to bucking bulls, ain't nobody does it quite like Andrews. 5. Belt buckle. Now, here's a tale fit for a campfire under the stars. Imagine you're out on Sammy Andrews' sprawling ranch, where the dust settles like a hazy sunset. You'll find trophies of muscular bulls standing proud on the mantle. They ain't just decorations, they're testaments to the legends that have graced these lands. None more legendary than Bodacious himself. In the heart of the Andrews home, amongst the Western-inspired decor, there's a special spot, a memorial to the one they call Bodacious. This ain't no ordinary tribute. It's a shrine to the bull who defined bucking with every muscle and fierce gaze. And speaking of accolades, Sammy Andrews ain't just a cowboy with a hat. He's a man wearing a buckle that tells a tale of its own. Best bucking bull at a national finals rodeo? That ain't just a buckle. That's a badge of honor earned through years of blood, sweat, and more than a few broken bones. Step into the barn and you'll see it. A cutout of Bodacious himself, frozen in time, mid-buck, like a thunderbolt cracking through the sky. 4. Worth his weight. Now, when we talk about Bodacious, we ain't just talking about any old bull. This here was $1 million legend. In his heyday, Bodacious was worth a cool $1 million. Just let that sink in for a moment. That's not hay pennies. That's a price tag fit for a bull that could buck the stars out of the sky. You can't put a price on the impact this bull had. From the adrenaline-soaked moments in the chute to the thunderous applause when he cleared that gate, Bodacious was worth more than gold to those who saw him ride. So next time you hear his name whispered in the wind or see a rider's eyes light up at the mention of Bodacious, remember, his worth goes far beyond what any bank could count. 3. Celebrity fame. After his retirement, Bodacious didn't just fade into the sunset. Oh no, sir. He hit the road like a true celebrity, traveling in his own monogrammed trailer like he was the king of the rodeo. Bodacious made appearances at casino openings, restaurant openings, and even car dealership events. Wherever he went, folks flocked to see the beast that once dominated the rodeo ring. People couldn't get enough of him. Buses full of fans would roll into Adelou, Texas, just to catch a glimpse of the great Bodacious. He was like the Elvis Presley of bulls, bringing in crowds with his sheer presence. This big old yellow bull had a way of capturing hearts, even though he was known for breaking faces in his prime. Sammy Andrews once said that seeing Bodacious become such a star was one of the highlights of his career, and it's no wonder. Bodacious had the charisma of a Hollywood star and the power of a freight train. He may have retired from bucking cowboys, but he never stopped wowing the crowds. 2. Hall of Famer.
Conscious. That was Bo's last ride. Sammy Andrews retired the bull during the NFR 10th round.
Bodacious. He's a bona fide Rodeo Hall of Famer. That's right. He's been inducted into the prestigious PRCA Hall of Fame and the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. Even Bucking Stock Talk magazine and the Cowboy Museum are tipping their hats to this bad boy. And that's not all Bodacious has earned in his rodeo career. Bodacious was named Bull of the Year in 1995 due to his strength as a bucking bull. In 1992, 1994, and 1995, he was a bucking bull in the National Finals Rodeo. He was chosen as the 1994 and 1995 Bull of the Year by the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. Surprisingly, only a few bulls can still reach the heights reached by Bodacious during his peak. Bodacious would ascend to such a height that by the time a rider completed his descent, Bodacious was already returning to the top. Bo is credited with promoting the rodeo's broad appeal as well. His celebrity fame helped to bring attention to a league that was only in the making when Bodacious started out. The PBR had barely been around for 2 years when this impressive bull took home the championship. 1. Legacy and death. Now, after a career of tossing cowboys like ragdolls, Bodacious decided to retire to a peaceful life on a ranch. You know, just chillin', reminiscing about the good old days of sending cowboys airborne like they were auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. But like many retired athletes, he eventually met his match. You see, every story's got its final chapter, and Bodacious's tale is no different. In the year 2000, old Bodacious kicked the bucket due to congestive heart failure. Andrews remarked, "I find it unbelievable that people approach you after he's been gone for 20 years and retired for 25 and still talk about the bull. The kids still want photos of him after watching his videos. Just knowing that a bull has achieved such fame that people still find him endearing is nice. It's ironic, really. You'd think a bull with a heart that strong would live forever." His passing marked the end of an era in the rodeo world, leaving behind a trail of broken records and cowboys nursing bruises and egos. Rest assured though, Bodacious's legend lives on, with tales of his epic battles continuing to echo through rodeo history. So here's to Bodacious, the bull who taught us all a lesson in fearlessness and left a legacy as vast and untamed as the western horizon. Rest easy, big fella. You've earned your place among the stars. Well, folks, there you have it. 20 nasty facts about the world's most dangerous rodeo bull, Bodacious. From his bone-crushing bucks to his charitable heart, this bull was a legend that we remember to this day as the Beast of the Rodeo. Remember, folks, when you're out there facing challenges, just think, could you handle Bodacious for 8 seconds? Now that's a test. As we mosey on out of here, keep Bodacious in your hearts and minds. He was a dang icon of grit and guts in the rodeo world. Till next time, stay wild, stay safe, and keep laughing like you just dodged a Bodacious buck. Catch you on the next ride.